welcome once again to Elders of GMS. I'm not going to give you, I'm not going to introduce myself. You should already know us. What I'm going to get into, this is the last segment of an in-depth study of the 12 tribes of Israel, and we're going to focus on the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Simeon, the tribe of Levi, and the tribe of Manasseh. And we should get through that real quick, because Simeon and Levi kind of go together, and Manasseh and Ephraim kind of go together. All right? So we'll probably spend more time on Benjamin than these other tribes. But what I want to do before I go into that, I want to go into this article that, hold up, brother. It's from The Trumpet. Go to the front page. Yeah, this is from the magazine called The Trumpet. Right, yeah, the front page is the article on the front page called The Upside Down World. And they're right, the world is upside down, all right? It's The Trumpet. And, or the Philadelphia Trumpet, all right? It also says war on oil. It says the outcast, Israel, and the flotilla disaster. There's a lot of articles in there, but I wanted to focus on this article right here, which is on page 24, and you can get this, the web page, and you can read these articles for yourself, or even subscribe to the magazine. It's free. This is the August 2010 issue, and I'm trying to find the website. Can you see it?
www.thetrumpet.com.
Okay, well it's easy enough. So so you can know we didn't write this article ourselves, or this is not our magazine. And on page 24, this article is entitled, "Is the European Dream Dead? A Biblical Prophecy Gives Clarity and Hope to the Tumult Unfolding on the Continent." All right? Now I want you to start, I think I told you to start right about from here, because we're not going to read the whole article, but we're going to read most of it. And the reason why I want to get into this particular article is because I believe it was back in 56, if I'm not mistaken, I'll say it, that Herbert W. Armstrong, which had a TV program called The World Tomorrow, I think it was called, and he basically spoke about this the 10 toes, or the EU, the European Common Market, and basically he's going to tell you that this is the revised Roman Empire, which he's partially right. Because the fullness of the revised Roman Empire, you have to mention America. And that's what he doesn't touch on. That's what they don't touch on. And they know we're going to prove that America is part of this this modern day Rome, or the revised or the reincarnated, for lack of a better word, the Roman Empire. America is definitely a part of the Roman Empire. Right? We believe that the presidents that have been set up have been reincarnated a couple of times as the main Caesars of Rome. All right? Okay, so let's start.
Image described. Read it in verses 41 through 43. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken.
And we see that happening right now. If you watch the international news, you had a major situation over there in Greece, where the people of the common folk of Greece, they confronted the leaders at their Capitol building, or the Capitol house, and they had the police kind of lined up in front of that big white building, because they basically wanted to go in there and grab up the president and the prime minister, which is equivalent to the vice president of this country, and they basically wanted to do them in and possibly burn that damn Capitol down, man. Now what they're saying is that they're blaming it on the U.S., which they're right, through their banks, through these bad loans. All right? So it's already happening. What we're reading about right now, prophecy in the book of Daniel about the 10 toes, partly strong and partly broken. That's talking about Germany. Germany is the strong, would represent the strong. Greece, on the other hand, would represent the weak, the miry clay, the toes of part iron and part miry clay. The toes of part of miry clay would represent Greece, and it also represents Spain and eventually Italy and I believe Portugal. All right. So this system is going down, and like I said, you have these people that write these articles about biblical prophecy. They don't give you the whole story. They don't involve the United States. And let me just say this. I have family members that are in the military, in the Marines, and I'll say one of my family members was stationed over there in Greece during that uprising. And he was given orders, if this thing gets any worse, you're going to have to shoot to kill. So they had U.S. troops over there, but they didn't tell you that in the regular news. All right? Go ahead.
It says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
Right. That's why Germany, they called for an austerity program. And when you look up the word austerity, it means hard, harsh. Now, there's going to be a major austerity program or a number of austerity programs throughout the states of the United States. It's already happening in California. This guy, Arnold Schwarzenegger, got the okay that he can take whatever government worker, whether it's a couple of thousand of them, I don't know the exact number, that whatever they were making, if they were making $30 an hour, they will cut down the minimum wage, or federal minimum wage, which is what I believe is $7.15, something like that, 7 and change. So what do you think's going to happen? Then the next thing, they're going to cut welfare, they're going to cut food stamps, they're going to cut these medical benefits. So what do you think's going to happen? People are going to lose it. Just like Gerald Celente always says, people lose it, and people are getting ready to lose it, man. But you got people in this country thinking that everything's going to be all right. Everything's not going to be all right, man. Now, this guy, Alex Jones, he had did a preview because he just finally watched the movie The Road, and he's talking about it's the greatest movie ever made. Man, we were talking about that more than 6 months ago when it came out in the theaters, man. All right? So we're coming to the end of this man's system. When you watch these talking head shows, they have all these guests on to try to save the United States and save the EU and save the world. You're not going to save the world. Every society went down. Every society was raised up in power, or every great society that was raised up in power eventually went down. The Egyptians came into power for over 400 years, and then they went down. The same thing with the Babylonians, the ancient Babylonians. The same thing with the ancient Romans, the pagan Romans. They had their power and they went down. The Persians and the Medes, the Greeks. So now it's your turn. over here in America. And when I say America, I'm talking about America and the EU and NATO. You got something?
Psalms chapter 75 verse 5. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another.
And that's plain. And I just mentioned the empires, the kingdoms that was set up, and they thought they would never go down, and they went down. So now what are they? They're history. You go to a museum and look at the relics and the paintings and the wall releases and the frescoes and the mosaics and the icons of these ancient civilizations. So guess what? America's going to be history too. All right? Go ahead.
Job chapter 15 verse 20. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor. A dreadful sound is in his ears, in prosperity the destroyer shall come upon him. He believeth not that he shall return out of darkness, and he is waited for of the sword. He wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knoweth that the day of darkness is ready at his hand. Trouble and anguish shall make him afraid. They shall prevail against him as a king ready to the battle.
In other words, that's talking about the elite. They know that it's going to get bad out here. But they're not telling the average person. All right, is that it on that? Okay, now let's go back to the article. Go ahead.
All right, this is on page 25. It says, mull that over for a moment. Is there a more apt description of Europe today? Politically and economically and even culturally, Europe is a continent of iron and clay. Some nations like Germany are strong and robust, others are weak and fragile. The European Union is a mixture of both iron and clay, making it partly strong and partly broken. But remember, the feet and toes of iron and clay are integrated, but only for a brief moment. Based on this prophecy, the trumpet forecasts the emergence of this short-lived and crumbly, yet overwhelmingly powerful, possessing the strength of iron European superstate.
Right, so when this place crumbles, guess who's going to follow suit? America. America's going to crumble right along with it. Go ahead.
He was right. Notice what the late Herbert W. Armstrong wrote in 1956 about this final resurrection of the Roman Empire. It will possess greater military might by far than the Rome of old, but it will also inherit fatal weaknesses. Prophecy symbolizes this admixture of never equal.
You notice he spoke about the Rome of old. He's telling you that this is the revised Roman Empire. Go ahead.
It says prophecy symbolizes this admixture of never equaled military might and unprecedented weakness with the apt phrase iron mixed with miry clay. The European nations will unite militarily, but they are suspicious and envious of each other. They hate one another. You see, Mr. Armstrong and the trumpet today was not ignorant of the rudimentary differences between many of Europe's countries, cultures, and peoples. He understood and consistently took into account geopolitics and international relations, which is partly why he concluded that the European states that comprised the last resurrection of the Roman Empire.
Read that again. Read that again.
Which is partly why he concluded that the European states that comprised the last resurrection of the Roman Empire would be suspicious and envious of each other in this scene. Mr. Armstrong, decades ago, anticipated and warned of the current tumult besieging Europe. Neither Mr. Armstrong nor Gerald Fleury and the trumpet have ever taught that Europe would coalesce into a long-term and stable power. Rather, we have prophesied consistently that while Europe will unite, its bonds will be weak and short-lived, like the bond between clay and iron. The last, final brief resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire by 10 European groups or nations is forming, Mr. Armstrong wrote, and they shall last but a very short space, possibly no more than 2 or 3.5 years. Plain truth.
It's going to be shorter than